Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Pregame Network podcast. This is episode 79, the only gaming news show on the internet that is not afraid to fuck with anybody's feelings or offend anyone or all that good stuff. I'm your gracious host,
Scattershot with that
Dan,
one.
joined by my always. Uh, I am your host, Dan, joined by my bestest pal, Anthony, and we're going to be talking about this week in video games and not before we talk about what we've been playing this
Of
week.
course.
Of course. I'm going to go first just because it's a very short list again. I've just been dumping most of my time into Battlefield. Between Battlefield, Dark Tide, Ball Pit, and I actually got like pretty pissed at a Battlefield match today. Like, I have to get off this game. I'm going to fucking break something, and I went to go play Space Marine. Like,
Fair,
I need
fair.
to just murder things indiscriminately, and I scratched that itch.
Very good.
Yeah, but that's pretty much it. I'm just gonna keep it short and sweet this week because we actually have a pretty
That's
big
fair.
episode to
Yeah,
get
we
to.
do have a lot to go to. And, to go along with things, I've pretty much, outside my routine, I haven't really touched anything. Harrison's been more available, so I've been playing a Street Fighter a bit more consistently. I have a big Dead Rising thing coming out, so I've just been going through all the different versions of Dead Rising, including the deluxe remaster, which you know how much, what I feel about that. Playing the finals, not as often as we used to, just because availability's been scattershot, but we played that. And I've been putting a decent amount of time into Genshin Impact just because there's been goodies to unlock and whatnot, and I've been in that mood. I've almost been feeling like going back to Final Fantasy 14, but I'm not subbing up for that just yet, so I'm like, okay, I'll play Genshin with some of the guys I know and try and get that out of my system, so that's pretty much all it's been for me.
Yeah, pretty simple week this week.
Yeah.
When a game like Battlefield comes out for me, it's just like I marry it for the
Yeah, there's
immediate
nothing wrong.
future.
You need that grounding force in a game. Some people dig into like games that they like to repeat. Most commonly, especially with us, is if you find a good multiplayer game and you have some time with the friends, you sit down and you play it, or even if you're just solo, doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. My problem is that I've got too many things that I want to invest all of my time in, and I have
Yeah.
to pick and choose. That's the only part that kind of sucks.
Yeah, we definitely we talked about that a little bit last week, but the one thing that I don't know if I mentioned or not is like if you hit that moment where you're just like, oh, I don't know what to play, you just default to like the easy to get into multiplayer stuff like a
Yeah.
Battlefield. Yeah.
One of 5 different staples that I have. It's a rough life.
Somebody's got to do it though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that
Before-
was it. That was all you had to say.
That's all I've had to play. Before we start, I like to do my little updates though, so I'll get those out of the way.
Have it.
But first things first, Dan, for a first time, we don't really have a regulation for this, but we do actually have a write-in question this week. So
What?
I figured,
From who?
just one of our frequent listeners. We have.
Excuse my shocked reaction.
Yeah, like, I'm not going to say we're getting mail by the truckload and we need to like reorganize the structure of the podcast, but we do have a question this week. I'm going to ask you because you are clearly
I am
an
ecstatic.
Yeah, so I'm going to ask you because you clearly are an expert in this field. So I hope you're ready to pull your pants up for this one.
I'm
Note
tightening
right.
my belt as we.
Yes. The note writes, the note reads, I have a question for the big brains of D'Anthony. How does it feel to live in a world where Atari might be saved by Bubsy?
What?
Oh, come on, Dan, give me the answer to the question.
I don't no idea what that means.
Yeah, so my buddy Dan here is not privy to the goings on of Atari, and he probably doesn't even know what the fuck a Bubsy is.
No,
So
I'm sorry, but like on the list of things that I thought that you were gonna hit me with in my head, I don't even know where to rank that. Like, that is not even on the same planet. Okay, why don't you learn me that, and then I can give you my answer.
So Atari has, for a while now, they've been kind of drifting in and out of the industry through different financial hardships. They've had to sell a lot of their IPs over time, and recently they were involved with a sequel to Bubsy. I believe it's called Bubsy 4D. Is a game that came out, and it apparently doesn't suck. Now that name doesn't mean a lot to you, and that's understandable because you aren't in like the niche realm of things, especially with older games. Bubsy was one of the many animal platformer mascots that people trotted out to try and compete with Sonic and Mario.
Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah, that's actually good. Banjo-Kazooie is an example of one of those things working. Bubsy is not. Bubsy started as a 2D platformer. People like to joke about the Sonic series and say, oh, Sonic had a rough transition to 3D. Bubsy had a really rough transition to 3D, a really rocky 3D game, and the series went dormant for a long time because nobody gave a shit about Bubsy. And most recently, a bunch of... I don't know how the best way to put this. I'll just say enthusiasts of the brand got together and with the IP owner, and they made a 3D platformer that apparently doesn't suck and remains somewhat true to the character and all of the like little memes that have surrounded him since his failure in the past. So as far as how I feel about that, I don't know. I'm surprised at the kind of cult following this new entry has gotten, and I'm surprised that it did very well.
The original question was that how do I feel about living in a world where Atari is saved by this game Bubsy?
Yes.
I mean, I can't really give you a great answer because I don't know anything about this, but if I'm trying in earnest to give you a good answer, I would say that I think crazier things have happened. I think That's in the fair. World of gaming, pretty much anything could take the industry or the respective gaming community overall by storm, and nobody really has a good idea of what that is until it comes out and people get their hands on it. So am I surprised by something like this? No. I would probably more hopeful than anything else that like an obscure game such as Bubsy could do something positive for Atari.
Yeah, that's a very good way to look at it. I will say I think Atari's woes are far from over, but that was certainly out of left field, I think, for everybody involved. So I gotta say, Dan, that's a good attitude. You put your best foot forward answering that question that I completely blindsided you with. So good for you.
Like it's not every day a listener actually writes in to ask a question, so I will give it the respect that it deserves.
You're great, buddy. You're great. So. Moving on, I'm going to get to the stuff where you might have a bit more going on. I had a few small updates. I'm really just going to focus on one because other stuff is still developing. So, I do have I have a small update on a story which I ranted about recently.
Okay, you're going to have to be more specific. You ranted about a lot.
I'm going to get there. I'm going to get there. Because it is very rare, Dan, for me to be wrong. But I did make a bad call last week when I spoke about localization.
Okay. Oh, interesting. All right.
Yeah.
Elaborate.
Yeah. You may remember I spoke a bit about two localizers, one of which was Kate Zwinar, who was localization lead on the latest Final Fantasy XIV expansions. I don't know how much of that you remember.
Yes.
Yeah, so you remember that.
I remember talking about it.
And I listed her history, I listed what she had done, what the things she had said on stage at different events. And I said, after all the stuff that she said and done, I said I didn't think she was going anywhere. And she might be gone.
Oh.
There's no official announcement, but in a recent interview with the localization team at Square Enix, she's nowhere to be found. She's not mentioned anywhere, and the previous guy, he goes by Koji Fox, he helmed localization from the reboot Realm Reborn onwards. He was there, and he introduced this other guy, Paul Chandler, as the English lead and the English localization lead, and the guy he's passing the torch to, quote unquote. That job was Kate's last week, so I don't know where she went. This Paul Chandler guy, he's another one of those entire career in one spot guys. He has more experience than Kate in localization, as far as I can tell. He's credited as English translation and localization on every single piece of Final Fantasy XIV since Realm Reborn booted it. You never know what the new guy might do, and you never know where Kate might be lurking, but for now, I'm willing to hope that for at least a little while, this is good news, and that Kate's just gone for good. We'll see what happens. That would be a huge win for localization in my book, and a huge win for the game, quite frankly. I'm willing, again, you never know what happens next. You never know who and what is lurking, and what, position, might be filled by someone and whatnot, but this, right now, I'm willing to accept this as good news, or at least hopeful for some change.
All right, well, that's a good update, I guess.
Yeah, I'd say that put a smile on my face.
Was that the only update that you had?
That's the only updates. The other stuff I'm going to sit on for a bit because it's day by day with some of this stuff.
Okay. All right. So let's see where to begin. Okay, I'm just gonna get this out of the way now because it just I'm sure you love hearing me talk about Destiny.
Oh hell yeah, get
Two
right in my veins, please.
oh, Jesus fucking Christ. Okay, so there's two different developments on the Destiny slash Bungie front.
Okay.
Do you want the kind of bad news or the good news first?
As someone who is viewing this not as like a person who is in love with the brand and wants to see a train wreck, hit me with the good news first, and then hit me with the kind of bad news last.
Okay, so the good news, well, the semi good news, or not negative news, I should really say. Bungie dropped their Renegades weapons and gear trailer last
Okay.
week, or a couple days, on the fourth, I think.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, it's nothing groundbreaking. It's just like they just are showcasing the guns and the exotic armor that's coming to the Renegades expansion.
Mhm.
I haven't touched the game since July, I think, like late
Okay.
July. Like, it's been a very
Okay.
like I haven't played in a very long time. But as a former hardcore Destiny player, I'm still a fan of the franchise. I will say, like, I think it's disingenuous for me to say that I'm no longer a fan because I definitely am. It's not anywhere near what it once was, but I still want to see the game do well.
Of course.
So anyway, Bungie dropped the Destiny 2 Renegades weapons and gear trailer, and it's all like all the Star Wars themed stuff. And from a Star Wars like fan perspective, because I also fucking love Star Wars,
Yeah.
definitely looks cool. Probably a little bit more than cool, I would say, from a Destiny fan standpoint.
Mhm.
I really don't know how I feel. Like all the weapons actually look like a lot of fun to play, and they're
Okay.
introducing a new heat mechanic because it's blasters shooting lasers instead of like guns shooting bullets.
Mhm.
So now you have to manage this new heat mechanic, which I think is a good touch. I am very apprehensive about the launch of the entire expansion just to begin with, because if Renegades falls flat on its face, and I've said this before, like things are definitely going to be much more grim than they already are.
Yeah.
But just for the trailer alone, it definitely looked cool. I know I've said this before as well, but once the expansion comes out, I'm going to jump in. I'm going to play through the story. I think my days of like seriously raiding and doing the dungeons are probably over, which is kind of depressing because it was my
Yeah.
favorite part about the game.
I mean, I would
Um,
say that, I think more realistically speaking, like, I think that it's not so much that you're necessarily done rating, like your days are behind you. It's just, it's one thing to get you to play the game if the game has some kind of turnaround. There needs to be something big to hit in order to not only get you to go back to the game in earnest, but to foster that community that you need in order to even consider doing raids and stuff like that. That's a commitment.
Yeah, yeah, and you need five other like-minded people, which is
Yeah.
so difficult to get together unless you get really lucky in an LFG. Um, so the trailer itself, it looked good. I'm not going to say it looked great or anything, unless they do like a major gameplay overhaul, or just shift the tone of the game. Everyone has been calling for a Destiny 3 since the end of Final Shape anyway.
Mhm.
But I really don't know like what's going to save Destiny 2 if they don't plan on making a Destiny 3. I have no idea what that could be. But the trailer itself looked cool. I am interested at the very least to jump in and give it a try. So that is the not negative news. On the more negative side, I think I posted yes, here it is. So Bungie was hit with a new lawsuit from someone who is claiming that all the Destiny Grimoire anthology books have plagiarized a lot of his work.
Ooh.
Yeah, so like amidst the previous scandal of the literal one-to-one like theft of that other artist's art for Marathon, like this is not a good look for Bungie any way you can slice it.
Yeah.
Now before today's episode, I actually dug deep into this a little bit, and it seems like the majority of the allegations are honestly like pretty baseless. Like the
Mhm.
guy who is suing Bungie, and I'm not saying this as a Bungie apologist or a shill or anything, because again, I haven't played the game in months. I would be the first to admit that Bungie has fucked up left and right ever since Edge of Fate came out. But the things that this guy is claiming that Bungie plagiarized, it like you would read it and you would kind of like make a face, and it boils down to they're using certain words that he used in some of his writings,
Okay.
and like he has a problem with that, so he sued Bungie.
Okay.
Yeah, so like it's as if Bungie were to trademark the word Destiny. Like that is how I took it.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think there is any basis to these allegations, to like especially for grounds of a lawsuit. But still, just the fact that Bungie is in the gaming news again of being sued by somebody who's claiming plagiarism, like what the fuck, man? Like this company cannot catch a break. And also, while I'm on the topic,
Yeah.
the communication at coming out of Bungie has been nothing short of atrocious.
Yeah.
There
I can
was
imagine.
yeah the community manager, or no, he has a different title, but the guy in charge of like all outward facing comms for Bungie, like he put out two different tweets. One of them was promising a roadmap that never came, and the second one was apologizing for promising a roadmap, and that like the team still needs more time to do that. And like, what do you mean that like it's an image? Like it's just asking for a picture of like a visual representation of what's to come over the next 12 months. Like it's not difficult. Like you guys work on content, like multiple seasons out. Like whatever is done, whatever's coming out next month with Renegades, like that's been done for months. Like you guys know what you're doing.
Yeah.
A good ways down the road. And we still have not gotten a roadmap. Furthermore, the director of the Destiny 2 game director overall, Tyson Green, he has just been radio silent, like nothing, absolutely nothing. And then the same goes for Justin Truman, who is the general manager of the Destiny franchise. I think he got promoted once Pete Parsons left or got pushed out or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
I have not seen a single shred of anything from either of these guys since they both quote unquote took power. So I don't know what's going on over there, and it's not a good look for the company. It's not a good look for the game. All the people that I follow on social media are basically saying the same thing, and the game is actively burning down. Nobody is happy with it. Bungie keeps on making one mistake after another. They seem like they can literally do nothing right. And I don't know why. I mean, I have a slight inclination, but there's no confirmation to it. All the people that worked on Destiny 2 that made it what it was are no longer there, or the vast majority of them. I think that is what is happening. So anyway, that's the end of my Destiny 2 rant for this week. If anything else comes up next week, I will be damn sure to bring it up.
All right.
That being said, the weapons and gear, they look cool for Renegades. I'll try it out, but I don't think I'm gonna be diving back in headfirst like I once was. So
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Yep. All right.
Let's see. You want me to just keep on going down the line, or you got something?
Well, I'll come out swinging with something because technically this is something that doesn't interest either of us, but is worth touching on just a little bit, just because there have been some updates. Have you been keeping up with the Ubisoft stuff recently?
No, I mean Ubisoft is like not really in my orbit. They used to be one of my favorite developers, but it's like they've just been putting out slop for the past 15 years. I just could care less.
Yeah. So news broke, and it takes a while for everybody to kind of sift through this because like certain outlets will put this out, and then like it'll be a fight, like, oh, this, you don't know what you're talking about, this outlet, that, it's not reputable, blah, blah, blah. But it was eventually confirmed by multiple outlets that Assassin's Creed Shadows is the lowest selling Assassin's Creed across the last 5 entries.
I heard the opposite when Shadows came out.
Yeah, I heard
right?
a lot of it's
Didn't
because
they say that?
it's because here's the thing. I mentioned this when we started. I mentioned not when we started, but when we started talking about Shadows for the first time. I mentioned it again when they started doing some of the number games that they love to do throughout. Basically, what happens is if a game doesn't necessarily sell spectacularly, but they want the game, they have something to prove, and obviously they want to, show that they have sold well. What they'll say is this many players, and that's what they did. They did. I think it was like 2 million or 3 million players, right? And then
right.
Much later, you'll have different people that like as some kind of they see it as some kind of cultural victory or something. I don't know. There are some people out there that are very weird when it comes to championing brands. I really don't know how to describe it. But tend to carry water for these companies, and they'll say like, aha, see, this month in Europe on this particular ranking, this game was number 1 for like a week or something like that, or for a month or whatever. So that kind of gives you the idea that it's like, oh, the game is doing really well and it has good legs, when in actuality, what everybody seems to be saying is that the game sold around 3 million at launch, maybe a little less than that.
Hey, that's not good.
Yeah, that's not good for an Assassin's Creed game. Personally, if I made a game and it sold 3 million, I'd probably be a little happy. But for like Ubisoft's yearly action franchise, that, I mean, I don't really, I guess you could say this is their COVID bubble popping moment, because they got very accustomed to these games selling really well during the last 4 years. And between the controversy, people losing interest, the quality just not really improving all that much, the DLC being boring based on people who loved it, loved the original game, you know, it just didn't sell well, and it didn't have legs. And following this, there was a leak, or like a hot mic moment with the CEO, Yves Guillemot, our very favorite man, who... He said quite a few things, but basically what he said was the hate that Shadows got pre-release was unexpected. They delayed the game in part in order to get away from that reputation. Like, they doubled down, they backed off. They doubled down with a lot of showings of different things like stealth and movement and stuff like that. He thinks it worked out well. I guess he's smoking something that we need a little bit of or something. I don't fucking know. He also said, and this is funny to me, we had to stop focusing on those who hated us. We quickly realized it was a battle with our fans, not against them. So he basically ruled out anyone who ever complained about Shadows ever as liking Assassin's Creed. That includes people like you or me, who really enjoyed the original trilogy. It includes diehards like Joe, who loved the franchise once upon a time when it was really good. All of us, we're not interested in Shadows, so we're just haters, Daniel. Just haters. And apparently he considers the fact that they delayed the game and quote-unquote stopped feeding the trolls a big success moment, as defined by Shadows not selling all that great and their stock plummeting multiple times and Tencent buying a quarter of the company. So I guess that's egg on our face.
The lack of overall innovation that this game has been coasting off of for the past 10 fucking years.
Yeah, maybe it's just,
What do I know, though? I just play the games.
Yeah, exactly. You know, maybe it's the fact that it wasn't all that great and you did a lot of scummy shit behind the scenes behind this one. Who knows? You know, but I guess it's just, once again, it's just us, you know, we're haters or something like that. Yeah. And I said it a little earlier. I'm going to say it again. Still no official sales numbers for this massive, I mean, this guy, you know, people inside Ubisoft seem to consider this a big success. Everybody in the know knows that it isn't. Why can't we just, I don't know, like... I'm willing to believe at this point it's probably around 4 million, I would imagine.
Okay.
Compared to some of the other Assassin's Creed games, I mean they get somewhere between like 8 and I think they peaked at like 20 million lifetime sales. That's something ridiculous. Difference. Yeah, I mean, I think they were smart enough. I think in the background they knew not to one of the games sold ridiculously well because of the lockdowns, and I think internally they knew not to target those numbers. Shocking for a AAA company to not just say number need to go up. But yeah, so Shadows didn't do so well. I mean, there's not much more to say, just because over the last like year or so we've been tracking the downfall of Ubisoft, so like the results are reflected in what's happened to the company, but it's just another day of Ubisoft and the latest failure in Assassin's Creed being in the spotlight. So,
yeah, man, how far the mighty have fallen.
Yep, crazy.
I forgot one Destiny thing.
Oh, go for it.
It popped in my head as you were talking. It's pretty small. I put in the news chat in our Discord server. Destiny Family Vacation, right?
Yes.
I told you I would explain what that meant.
Please do elaborate.
So every year, and this is not a secret, but every year Bungie flies a bunch of content creators out to Seattle, I think, to go to the studio, play the new content, give feedback, and then they can record what they are going to record and then post it to YouTube as a pseudo marketing thing, right?
Yeah.
Bungie likes to say that it's a community summit. They invite people there for feedback, how to make the game better, blah, blah, blah. We've recently learned that that was a bunch of bullshit, but I'm not going to get into that. So I put Destiny Family Vacation because in the past week and a half, the majority of content creators that are in good standing, for lack of a better term, with Bungie are all miraculously going on a family vacation all at the same time. And every time so they'll make a video saying, oh, I'm not going to be, videos aren't going to come out from like this day to this day, and then I'm going on a family vacation. Every single one of them looks directly into the camera, makes like a funny face, and then says family, like they're going on a family vacation. And it's so every year after year, it's actually been like nobody knows when these summits are happening. Like people know that they do happen, but they don't know when it does. But for whatever reason, this year in particular, all these content creators all post at the same time saying the same thing, that they're going on a family vacation. And it's just so funny because it's like the worst kept secret in Destiny. And even this one YouTuber that I watch every now and again, he took a selfie in a plane, like on the plane, like in the bathroom. And then he said like, oh, I'm going to visit for, no, he outlined the entire plot of Lord of the Rings and then like left it at that. Like that's what he's going to go do. So they're probably there now, or like they're just getting back. But I just thought that was fucking hilarious because everyone's taking family vacation at the same time, and it's right around the time that the marketing machine is spinning up for Renegades. So I just found that hysterical. Because nobody gives a shit anymore. The game is on fire. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
Anyway, that was that I swear that's the last Destiny thing.
Nah, I figured. I mean, it is always funny. We talk about the dreadful nature of the game itself. It is kind of funny to see what's going on with employees and communities and outreach and awkward conversations to be had like that. So.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay, got Destiny out of the way. So it's not really news related, but it was kind of a thought that popped in my head. Do you remember the game The Day Before?
Yes, I heard about it. I remember it. Yes,
so
yes,
for those of
yes.
you,
Yes.
Okay. For anyone listening that has never heard of The Day Before, the best way I could describe it was like an open world Last of Us multiplayer. And the whole development story behind this game is like, it's so weird. And obviously I don't have the time to go into that right now, but I will keep it very brief. This company that was making The Day Before, they didn't have employees. They had volunteers. And every time that the game was like right around the corner, they'd push it back and delay it. And then they would barely show any actual gameplay. And when they did show gameplay, it was so clearly scripted, or a lot of gameplay reveals are scripted, but you know what I'm trying to, like, it looked fake. I don't know how to describe it.
It was very clearly
fabricated.
I don't know. Yeah, there was a lot of controversy around like footage not actually quite being real, or
the best example that I can give was I watched this one video of The Day Before of this guy like making his way through the inside of a building, and this zombie came around the corner. So he raised his rifle and went to go like put a couple rounds into the zombie, and when the muzzle flash went off, it was the same image of the muzzle flash over and over and over and over again. It was very weird, like to the point where like anybody who's played video games long enough would look at it and like think to themselves, something is very off here.
Yeah.
But the game was essentially vaporware.
It was a scam. It was a scam.
Yes, it was absolutely a scam. So the thing that I wrote down that dawned on me was Arc Raiders is what The Day Before wanted to be, minus a couple features here and there, like base building or
the
or,
day
or
before
vehicles driving.
the day before is in the same genre that if it was a real game would have been in the same genre
Yeah.
and vision and scope that Arc Raiders was if it wasn't a fucking
Right.
scale.
And I just find it, yeah, I find it interesting because at a certain point in time, the day before was the number one wish listed game on Steam. People were clamoring for this game, and obviously it came out, it was just a fucking scam. So
Yes.
now fast forward a couple of years, Arc Raiders comes out, and the camera's the same, a lot of the inventory stuff is the same, or not the same. That's not being fair to Arc Raiders, but it looked very in the same vein. Uh, but it was actually made by a very talented team of developers, and the game
Yep.
is popping off right now. People absolutely love it,
Yeah.
and it just goes to show that like with a competent, talented team of developers, you can make whatever game you want and have it be amazing.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, that has not sunk in the industry the world over.
Yeah.
Because I would consider Embark a double A. I would not consider them triple A.
Yeah, no, of course. Yeah, they're not quite AAA, and they don't need to be. They're making games just
Yeah.
fine in their size
Yep.
and their scope with the talent that they have. And it's, to what you said as far as it not sinking in, it's like I constantly harp on. There's been talent bleed for years. They're scattered, they're in the winds. Companies, corporate overreach basically dictates that like nobody's trying to cultivate these groups. They just expect it to happen with whatever they put in, and policies underneath them drive talent away and put focuses on things other than quality and just fun. So it's rare
Yeah.
for something for a steady, thing like Embark has going on right now.
Yeah. Again, it just kind of dawned on me. I just found it interesting. Wanted to bring it up. But going off of Arc Raiders, the game continues to sell gangbusters. I think they're
Yeah.
close to 2 million in sales now. It's been out for like a week. It's pretty crazy. So I don't know. We recently learned that we have a third for Arc Raiders.
Oh, yes.
And yeah, we will definitely be getting some of that in soon-ish.
Yes.
But I don't think I have any other Arc Raiders stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it plenty
no.
last week, so that was just a little bit of amusing, So
Yeah.
it's just fine. I mean, were there updated sales numbers, or was that last week? I can't remember. Didn't they confirm they're like at near 2 million in sales, or did we already go over that last week?
According to WCCF Tech, Arc Raider sales estimates, they range anywhere from 1.6 to 1.9 million
Okay.
on Steam alone, which is pretty impressive. Obviously, we're
Novel
not
to
going
get those numbers very
for,
quickly too.
Yeah, we're not going to get the numbers for console because
Yeah.
Microsoft and Sony don't publish that stuff, but it's selling very well.
Yeah.
More power to Embark. Good
Absolutely.
on them. Let's see. Going down the list, the next thing I got here is an article by VGC. Square Enix says that it wants generative AI to be doing 70% of its QA testing.
Okay.
That is going to end great. That is going to end so good.
So
So
I mean,
good. You guys should definitely do that.
I don't know if you have much to say outside of what you just did, but I do have a few comments on this for a multitude
I'm
of
sure you do.
reasons.
I mean, my opinions really boil down to the fact that as good as AI could be, I don't think it could. It's not like it will obviously lack that human touch that somebody will notice if something is just not quite right in a game. And I mean, 70% is a big fucking number.
That is, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think that's just a mistake, just in the interest of saving some money from getting rid of some QA testers. That actually happened with Bungie. I don't know how much. I don't know. I don't think any AI was involved. I could be wrong, but they let go of like the majority of their QA team, and then like directly after that, things started completely falling apart. So
Yeah.
you guys need QA testing.
Yeah.
And
So.
QA automation technology. Yeah. I don't, continue.
Yeah. So I mean, as far as that goes, I mean, just with Square Enix and also just multiple different companies that are going to be dipping into this, regardless of what anyone thinks, and regardless of the upper plateau of what LLMs are capable of, different companies and industries are going to try implementing them to different scales.
Yeah.
We've talked about this before. My position is about the same as then. It has its place. that place is lower than what companies want, and it's higher than what purists want. And the further away you get from creative positions in the industry is where I think the greater potential for these things to be useful is. You know me, I always harp on localization because it is a big deal to me, and I think it is a big deal. It's a bigger deal than most people, say it is. But I think its implementation in QA testing could be interesting, just not necessarily at the scale they're at. They need to ease into it a bit better than just saying we're going to get rid of everybody except for like 30% and do 70% testing. Because when I think QA testing with language learning models, machine testing, and things like that, I imagine code and gameplay scenarios that are crafted by a human team being brute forced by a machine to find issues that could potentially help things, and I think that's a good thing. I do think that you do need a human element in QA testing, just because the way a human thinks is going to be much different than just a machine brute forcing it or looking for different ways to play the game, right? That being said, I don't have a lot of faith in QA testing, just because there are so many nightmare stories of people being dumb. I mean, you have full-on panels at events like GDC where they talk about really stupid streamers and QA testers. You have Valve, the commentary tracks in their video games that I love doing. I love just listening to sometimes. They have multiple nightmare stories of just playtesters just not being able to go through a certain section, so they just have to cut the entire section, stuff like that. And I guess this is all to say, like, I don't necessarily think what Square and these other companies are doing is wrong. The way they're going about it is very, very wrong. I don't think they're approaching it with the right scale and mindset, and there's going to be a lot of growing pains when it comes to companies getting AI and language learning models and all this machine stuff into the workflow, the pipelines and stuff like that. Because like you said, you mentioned on the real capabilities of these. I think the plateau is closer than most people think. I also think that anyone who says like, oh, the bubble's popping like any day now, I think that's pretty foolish. I think there's just a middle ground between all the people who are for and against this that a lot of people are overlooking. The only people I've heard talk about it outside of me in this particular way, where I think that there's a middle ground to be had. These are tools that you need to work with in order so that everybody can just work better or have access to things that they wouldn't normally have access to. Industrialization in a different form. The only person I've heard with similar positions to this than me, who's been vocal about it, I can't fucking believe this, Hideo Kojima is the only person on the planet who has this, who is, I mean, I'm sure there's other people out there that are saying the same things I am. I mean, this is a position to have on it, but he is the only one in the industry being vocal about it. There's a few people who are opportunists, would be like, we got to do everything with AI, number go up, we got to just make a bunch of shit. You have the AI bros online that post like weird prompts and videos that don't make or look sense and, look worse than the day before did. You have, people who say like, if you ever touch AI once, I will burn down your studio. You have all these extremes, but right in the middle, Hideo Kojima said that he sees, I guess this is a kind of a segue to a different news story, but he commented on AI at an event like a couple weeks ago where he was talking about the different games, right? And I was brought back to a simpler time where this man annoyed me, but his take is the same as mine. I think his words, he said something like, we need to incorporate...
There's definitely a metaphor to be drawn there.
Yeah. Yeah, because where I say, hey, we need to incorporate these new tools so that we can empower creators, because I think it, as a wholesale thing, is cheap, and not using it at all will hurt in some sectors. He says he views AI as a friend, and while he would handle the creativity, the AI would be there to improve efficiency. And I took those two positions, and I'm like, That son of a bitch. He got me again. We're
God
thinking the
damn
same.
it.
Hey, I'm not the kind of guy who's just like, oh, person I don't like is agreeing with me, so I need to flip my whole position. I agree with the guy. Who gives a shit? But yeah, that's kind of my take on the whole AI thing. And before I talk about Kojima and like the event, that I'm not gonna go nuts on the event because we did miss it by a couple weeks. I will just say that Square Enix, aside from this QA situation going on, they also are massively restructuring how they handle business in the West. They've fired a shit ton of people. They've consolidated entire branches. People from directors to leads to CEO positions, CFO positions are cleared out. And as I've been watching this, I'm like, I wonder who's really leaving. And every story I hear is just like, oh, this guy was making fun of people for being worried about consultation services, and this guy was worried about companies being more invested in wayward diversity practices instead of quality, and they were making fun of you. And oh, this activist that made Life is Strange, that was saying shit online to people who might buy the games. They're all these nasty people are just gone. Like, I'm just like, wow, finally some Japanese company put their foot down, be it from good intentions, like understanding why these people cause problems, or just like finally taking enough losses. They just completely restructured their entire thing, and we'll see how that pans out in the near future. But yeah, so I guess moving on from Square, I am going to talk just a little bit about Kojima and an event that he was at a couple weeks ago. I'm not going to talk about the ridiculous thing because he's opening his own bank with his own credit card. I'm not going to talk about that. I'm not going to get into the weeds of that.
No, you gotta. What?
He's going to have his own credit card, Kojima Bank credit card. I don't
like that one.
Yeah,
bit.
I'm moving on from that. I don't even want to talk about it. It is a small other project. But yeah, so Kojima, what is there to say about me and Kojima? You know how I feel about this guy, right?
God, how much time do we have?
We have enough. Now you understand why I wanted to start 30 minutes early. First, I'll give him a little bit of credit. We often talk about game hardware and games looking as good as they can realistically get, how we've kind of plateaued there. Kojima is the only one in the industry I can think of whose raw desire is keeping him as close to the edge as of what's possible, I should say, right?
Okay.
And while I think his turn time is about as bad as your average AAA project, he's doing more with that time than other companies are. It's just his pure, say I've talked about him being a blowhard, but his pure creative aspects and aspirations keep him in the game. Now, that's not to say I don't think the results don't hit that weird. I really don't know what to call exactly what they are. It's kind of like diminishing returns. We know what that means, obviously, but there's like this phenomenon where the first time you see it in a trailer, you can grasp and understand the effort that went into capturing realistic graphics, and then the next time you see it, it already feels dated before the game even came out. Like it's flawed or uninteresting in some way. Kind of feel what I'm saying here?
Yeah.
I guess diminishing returns is really the only way to put it, but it's like, if you compare Metal Gear Solid, The Phantom Pain, and Death Stranding, you could convince me that they basically came out back to back. Right?
Okay. Yeah.
But
I can see that.
Yeah. But he is so desperate to be taken seriously by Hollywood. It's kind of sad. The man has a reputation that is already giving him the best that his industry can offer. Industry voices, including one of the loudest in Jeff Keighley, are on their knees ready to fillet this man whenever he makes a slight maneuver. There are people that religiously follow him on Twitter for his movie reviews. Major corporations trip over themselves to make deals with him because they know whether the games he makes are actually good or unique or not. There is a following his name will bring that will have some of the most annoying people around screaming from the rooftops that he has made one of the greatest games of all time in a way that has never been done before and will never be done again. He is one of the few people that other industries, both creative and technical, take seriously. Now, why am I bringing this up? Why am I saying all this? He recently, and that's recently, it was a couple weeks ago at this point, he highlighted two games that have been cooking up a bit. You probably heard of them at least once. He has OD Knock and Fizzant. Do you remember anything about those?
OD Knock sounds familiar. Fizzant,
Yeah.
no.
So, Fizzant is essentially his new, everybody's saying it's basically going to be his new Metal Gear Solid stealth action.
Okay.
We haven't seen too much about it. And then OD Knock is essentially doing his own PT Silent Hill.
Okay.
It's a horror game. The what is it? Blumhouse, I think. I forget. There's another studio in movies that's doing OD something else. Like it's kind of like a mix of media kind of thing going on. No. It's a film company. He's working with a film company.
Movies.
Yeah, but no, it's not them. I think
A24.
It might be A24. I honestly can't remember. I'm not interested in this in the slightest, and the showing didn't really wow me, and the leaked footage I saw didn't wow me either. But the whole point is, he's doing his own PT. He's doing his own Metal Gear Solid. Power to him. I'm not saying that he shouldn't. I'm just that's how I describe it. And now we have all the snobs and influencers and accounts online coming out and talking about how Kojima is saving the industry, Dan. He's saving the industry with these two games. I saw one guy who essentially said, if you think gaming is bad or in a bad spot with the announcement and showing of these two games, it's a you problem. Like, if you don't like these two games and see them as like the second coming of Christ and fixing all the problems in the industry, it's because you don't like games anymore or something like that. Now,
okay then.
yeah. So let's play ball a little bit, right, Dan? Let's say both of these games are amazing with universal appeal. I can write them off preemptively. I may not necessarily have high hopes, but I'm willing to be won over. I didn't think I was going to like Metal Gear Solid 5 when it came out the first time. I fucking loved Metal Gear Solid 5. So let's play a little ball. It would still only be two games that aren't coming out for like 3 to 5, maybe even longer in years,
Uh-huh.
We used to have entire years that had months filled with games of the alleged caliber of these two games, right?
Yeah. I try not to think about those times. They make me depressed.
I'm going to make you think about those times right now. So I think, okay, these games are probably going to be within 2 or 3 years of each other, right? That's my guess. I think they're going to be fairly close. Yeah. Let's rewind the clock, Dan. Let's take a peek at a similar situation. Silent Hill 2, the original, came out in 2001. Metal Gear Solid 3, also the original, came out in 2004. Seems like a fair comparison, with those two games compared to these two games in the time frame. That seems fair, right?
Uh-huh.
You know what else came out in 2001, Daniel?
What?
Final Fantasy X, Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, Devil May Cry, Super Smash Bros. Melee, Sonic Adventure 2, Golden Sun, Max Payne, Halo, Grand Theft Auto 3, Arcanum of Steamworks and Magic Obscura, Animal Crossing, Fatal Frame, Mario Land 4, and many other games.
Oh, God.
You know what came out in 2004, Dan?
A lot, also.
Halo 2, Ace Combat 5, The Unsung War, Killzone, The Sims 2, Ninja Gaiden, Metroid Prime 2, Echoes, Prince of Persia, Warrior Within, Knights of the Old Republic 2, Ratchet & Clank Up Your Arsenal, Half-Life 2, Far Cry, Outrun 2, Counter-Strike Source, Need for Speed Underground 2, Super Mario 64 DS, Katamari Damacy, World of Warcraft, Fable, Spider-Man 2, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, Far Cry, Jak 3, Vampire, The Masquerade, and Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, among other games.
What the fuck? There's so many of those games that you just listed, like, bring back such good memories for me.
Yes.
Holy shit. Prince of Persia, Warrior Within.
Oh,
what a
crazy times.
banger.
What
Jak
a
3, fucking phenomenal.
I
One of my
know.
favorite games of ever.
Great games. What's even crazier is that a chunk of the games I just mentioned came out within 30 days of each other.
Yeah, that is preposterous. That is absolutely
wild.
Preposterous.
We
will never see that ever again.
Hey, don't rule us out. I'm just saying we're not there yet, all right?
Yeah.
But also, something I forgot,
Dude.
Dan. Metal Gear Solid 2 actually also came out in 2001, the same year as Silent Hill 2, and a remake of the first Metal Gear Solid. Metal Gear Solid: The Twin Snakes came out in 2004, the same year Metal Gear Solid 3 did. So that's a whole other problem, you know, turn time of these companies. But it just basically, all this to say, and you seem very frustrated the same way I was very frustrated. It frustrates me that there's a group of people out there who are not content in just saying like, hey, I got a handful of good games this year and I'm happy. They feel the need to attack anyone who thinks or thought maybe at one point just one aspect of the industry might be just slightly better, you know? And I just like, I don't know, man. It's... People suck. I guess that's all it is. I guess I'm just a little winded at seeing all the, you know, people that go online and just go like, oh man.
People do in fact suck, my friend.
Like they'll just say like, you know, there's people out there who will play like, I don't know, maybe let's say Fizzant is really, really good, right? Let's just say it is. They'll play it and they'll say gaming is so back. They'll say it for the 12th time that year. They experience something that they immediately forget. They'll just say gaming is so back, when gaming hasn't been in a healthy spot for a long time. And I'm just tired of people pretending that it was, or that it was rose-tinted glasses, or that it's, you know, we're older men, Dan. We're not ancient. We're in the prime of our lives, arguably. We've got like 10
You just
really
said
good
we're older men, and then you followed it up with we're in the prime of our lives.
Because listen. What I'm saying is we are older than we were when these games came out. There's no shame in that. But people think that like every good feeling that you or me have ever experienced is just nostalgia. It's not real. Things were bad back then too, allegedly.
Oh, things were pretty. Look, if you want to make that argument that everything also sucked back then, no. I'm just gonna put a hard stop on it. They absolutely did not. I actually, this happens to me a couple times a day. I would say, I flash back to like sitting on my bed in my bedroom in my mom's house back when Halo 3 came out, or playing Jack 3 with you in your house, in your basement, like moments like that, or like when you showed me Prince of Persia: The Warrior Within, and my mom wouldn't let me get it because it was rated M because there were some boobs in it somewhere. Like, I flash back to those times in my life fucking often, Anthony.
Yeah.
It is 100% not rose-tinted glasses, because I remember even at the time, like, loving the games that I was playing. Like, they were just so good. So good. And even 25 years later, 20 years later, however long it's been, I look back at that time of my life with the same with like the same fondness. Like, I wish I could go back sometimes and just fucking spend
like,
all weekend.
Here's the thing: if everybody was just more honest about the situation and they weren't blind fanatics pretending everything's good, we would trend in that direction faster with demands and needs and things like that. It wouldn't be, it's not like the fucking Superman speech in the films where everybody's like, if everybody just wants it so good, we'll have it. But I can tell you right now, pretending that everything's okay, or that everything is things can be okay, obviously, but pretending that like we're so back every time somebody announces a game that you may or may not even remember 3 years from now, that's not the industry being healthy. I guess that's all I wanted to really rant about, because I mean, hell, you played Jack 2 recently. You played it fairly recently, like a couple months ago. This Halloween season, I played the original trilogy of Silent Hill games. I've been, every time I have to pick up the fucking Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster, I'm immediately filled with the urge to go play the good games, the first Dead Rising, the Dead Rising 2, and go beyond that with, some of its predecessors like Rome Shadow of War, which had a lot of that DNA for the PlayStation 2. There's so many good titles that existed. Like, I know you're not, for some people it's very difficult to grasp a time you are not currently living in. I get it. Life sometimes goes fast, sometimes it drags its feet, but like, you need to be a special kind of stupid or a special kind of liar to like look back at that fucking golden age and just say, nah, that's not true. Things are better than they've ever been. It's just you that's the problem. So
yeah, no, things were definitely 100% better back then, without even a question.
Nope.
Fuck those people. Yeah. Just, oh god. I want to go back, Anthony. Take me
Listen,
back.
listen, it's perfectly fine to reminisce. It's perfectly fine to go back and play those amazing games, including some of the ones that you missed, Daniel. However, we must aspire for a better and beautiful future. We have plenty of good years and good games ahead of us. It's just a matter of if the industry can keep up with our demands. I think there are good times ahead.
Yeah. Track record has not been great on that front.
Yeah, we've seen some wins. It's just, it's slow and painful sometimes, Like I'm thrilled. Like I mentioned before, I'm like, ooh, localizers are losing their jobs. The western side of certain companies is coming crumbling down. There's plenty of good news out there, but it is hard to recapture and rebuild the magic that was the late '90s to 2012.
Yeah. Even like in 2012, things were starting to really decline.
That's what I'm saying. Like 2012 is the cutoff for me.
Yeah.
Whatever date. Sometimes I fuck up the dates. Whatever date Dead Space 2 came out, that's the turning point for me. That was like the cap, the end cap of like when we saw a stream of just excellent games for an entire generation.
Dead Space 2 came out in 2011.
Okay, so I was a little off. So 2012 is about right.
Yeah. God, 2011. I remember playing through that. Jesus Christ. Okay, let's see. Let's move on because we're already an hour in.
Go for it.
Okay, let's see. What do we got here? I'm not really going to go over this Battlefield thing. We already knew that they were making the challenges easier. That's not.
Yeah.
I don't even know why I posted that. All right, I guess we'll tackle GTA. That
go for it.
seems to be the next one thing on the list. GTA 6 is now delayed until November 19th, 2026. So 1 year. They pushed it back another year.
I don't know if they pushed it back a year. Isn't it like a couple months?
Wasn't it supposed to come out like this holiday season?
That was the original idea, and then I think it got pushed back to spring, and now it's getting pushed back to November. I could be wrong. Point is, next year is when the game is allegedly coming out.
Yeah. I mean, this is big news in its own right just because GTA is such a gargantuan property.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just a delay like this, in the same way that Cyberpunk got delayed over and over again. I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday or the day before actually, and we were talking about the GTA 6 delay, and I just said to him flat out like this barely even registers on my radar for me. Like the only reason why I care about it even slightly is because it is what it is, and like anything happening in the news zeitgeist of Grand Theft Auto, like if you're a gamer, like you take notice to that type of thing.
Yeah.
So that is probably the only reason why I care. I was never big into GTA Online. The launch of GTA 5 Online was atrocious, so like I didn't really get to play it that much at launch, and then by the time they ironed everything out, like I didn't even care. Like I enjoyed the single player or like the story enough that I didn't really feel any need to jump into multiplayer, and now it's just become an over monetized hellscape, and I have negative interest. They owe me time. So GTA 6 is now pushed back, coming out November 19th, 2026.
Yeah.
The reason they gave was because they want to polish it up more, which is fine. That's a good reason as any to have.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with a bit of polish. I will never bemoan a studio taking extra time to make sure things are better at launch day. My problems with GTA lie elsewhere, but not necessarily that decision. I will say that, like, I think the amount of time it is taking and some of the things that, based on the scale and scope and how long it's taking them to make these things, it's just, me, how I am with AAA bloat, right? And I just think it's... Like, I mean, there's been news following the GTA 6 delay where they talked about, the stock went down. It's not groundbreaking. They are going to lose a bit in the market until, they show some actual results. That's not going to kill them. It's not like an Ubisoft situation. But then you start hearing about, like, insider reports like, morale's at an all-time low. Don't know how true that is, but I'm willing to believe it to a certain degree. There's worry about polish on the inside. Again, don't know how true that is, but I'm willing to believe it. There were firings over some kind of union dispute in one of the studios. It's honestly hard to keep track of these places because obviously you have Rockstar North, Leeds, all these different branches. It's a very large company, and which is crazy to me because despite them having multiple studios all across the world, they typically only work on one game at a time or two games at a time, and they typically take like 6 to 8 years to come out. It's not like the Rockstar of old where they were, they had years where they did 3 games a year, But
yeah, when did GTA 5 come out?
A long time ago.
2013. Wow.
These guys take forever making their games, man. Like, you look at that and you say, like, wow, it's been so long since GTA 5 come out. But if you go and you look at GTA 1, 2, 3, San Andreas, Vice City 4, like, it's ridiculous how much closer they are all in release to each other compared to GTA 5 to GTA 6. It's wild. The bloat has just gotten way too much. Way too much.
Oof.
Yeah.
Big oof.
Yeah,
okay, so yeah, I mean, that was small, all things considered. So GTA 6 got pushed back.
Yeah.
Okay, so got a little bit of an update on the Mass Effect TV series. So they will not they'll not, I don't like the word retread, but they're not going to tell Shepard's story that was, told in the original trilogy. I kind of agree with this. I think that just based on the nature of what Mass Effect is and how so much of it is based around choice, there's really no like singular canonical story that runs from 1 to 3. So I'm pretty okay with that. What I would like to see though is, I mean, obviously it's going to be in the Mass Effect universe. I want to see the First Contact War. I think that would be really cool.
Yeah, that's a good place to be. I think the thing is with that is it was told in books already, and I'm not saying you can't adapt that into a different story or a visual medium or anything like that. I feel like people who are handed these properties to do TV adaptations tend to be, avoidant of book properties unless their intent was from the get-go to go there. I think actually books being set around that time period might actually make it less of something they actually touch on, if they even really know that far ahead with the lore and whatnot,
Yeah, we'll see what happens with that. I don't really have a tremendous amount of confidence in Amazon to really adapt it very well. Have they made any like video game adaptations that were like really good or anything? I'm trying to think.
I'm gonna say no.
Yeah,
my gut says no.
I don't think so either. The one thing that I will say, I can't even give Amazon credit for this because it was its own independent animation studio, but the Warhammer episode of Secret Level, that was fucking phenomenal. Oh my god. Actually, that brings me to a point here. So because Games Workshop is who they are, and they have such a stranglehold on the Warhammer franchise between Age of Sigmar and 40K, that like no matter what medium the Warhammer brand is going to be in, they have an overwhelming amount of control as far as like what these companies or producers or whoever can do with their property. Like take Darktide, for example. There's so much red tape around Fat Shark could include in Darktide because Games Workshop is so strict with the Warhammer universe. For example, the Arbites class that came out for Darktide a couple months ago, usually they have things that are constantly refreshed in the store that are different cosmetics and whatnot, blah, blah, blah. Like for all other 4 classes, the Ogryn, Zealot, Veteran, and Psyker, there are a ton of different cosmetics that you can buy. Since the Arbites class came out, they've had one set of items in the shop. Usually they rotate every week. For months now, it's been one set of items in the shop for Arbites cosmetics. And that is because Games Workshop is so strict with allowing Fat Shark to include X, Y, or Z thing into their game that they just haven't added anything because they haven't gotten the green light from Games Workshop. And I'm bringing this up because at the end of Space Marine 1, Titus got demoted from captain to lieutenant because of suspected heresy. And then the Secret Level episode that came out on Amazon was he was still a lieutenant. Like everything is canonical whenever anything from Warhammer is shown. Everything fits into the universe one way or another. They have like lore masters at Games Workshop that make sure everything makes sense. So when the secret level episode of Warhammer came out, Titus was still a lieutenant, and now I think it was yesterday or earlier today. There was a trailer that Games Workshop put out on their YouTube channel. It was literally the ceremony of Titus being re-promoted back to captain, and it was like a whole new expansion on the Warhammer universe. I just think that's really cool. Like I actually really like the way that Games Workshop handles Warhammer because they effectively ensure that it could never be fucked with. Unless the wrong person winds up in charge, like nobody is really gonna fucking mess up the Warhammer universe. And that is amazing to me. I just thought it was very interesting because they put out this video. It has nothing to do with gaming, but I mean, kind of, sort of. They put out this video that was like 2.5 minutes, and I'm watching, and I'm like, okay, it's probably going to be an expansion for the tabletop. And then as the video played on, I'm like, wait a second, this looks a lot like the animation style for the secret level episode. And then they showed Titus's face. I'm like, holy shit, like this is the model from that episode. Like what's happening here? And then they promoted him back to captain. I was like, oh fuck. But it was for like this whole expansion of the Warhammer universe. So I don't know. I think that shit is awesome, and I really love the way that Games Workshop, like the level of control they have over their IP. Because if they just gave it away to somebody else or like let somebody else produce it, there is a very very likely chance that it just wouldn't be right. Like it just wouldn't be Warhammer. So I don't know. I thought that was worth mentioning. I'll stop ranting about it.
No, that's perfectly fine. Yeah, that's a neat investment. I mean, for the same reason that you mentioned, it's harder to fuck with. I kind of disagree. I still think it can be infiltrated to a certain degree by anybody who's interested. It definitely has a thicker barrier to get through, but it is.
Right. Well, I didn't say impenetrable, but like.
No, yeah. I get. Yeah. I do always appreciate hearing about Warhammer. Well, I can't fully appreciate it because I'm not necessarily the biggest fan compared to some other people. I always appreciate the very things that you highlighted, where very expansive. You have lore keepers, things connect and weave, and it's a very very strong universe for anybody who is into that sort of thing to different degrees.
Yeah. Oh man, it makes me want to go play Space Marine 2 now. Okay, so I am coming to the end of my stories here. Okay, I'll hit up a small thing and then something a little bit bigger. Let's see. EA shuts down 4 AAA games forever in 24 hours. So by the time anybody is listening to this, those games will already be dead. Those games are Dirt 3, Dirt Showdown, Grid 2, and Grid Autosport. Now, granted, I'm sure they're not very popular, but that still does not excuse the fact that it should not be, blinked out of Thanos snapped out of existence. I'm sure there are people out there somewhere who really enjoy those games, and now they'll never be able to play them again unless they have a local copy that they can play on their computer or console or whatever. So, I don't know. That's just another blow to games preservation that is what feels like a losing battle.
I mean, the whole thing with these kind of games, I mean, it's tough because a lot of those games that you had mentioned with Dirt and Grid and all those things, I remember those being like 360 and early like Xbox One titles, right? There's a certain level of infrastructure difference there where it's like some of the games aren't on the PC, some of them are locked to older consoles, the different server things, so it's not as easy a save as some things. But I mean, that doesn't mean they don't deserve to have like the same kind of
why can't they make an offline port?
Exactly. And to what you said, you mentioned you're sure they're not all that popular. I mean, relatively speaking, now they aren't necessarily well,
that's what I meant,
getting daily players. Yeah, but no, I remember those games being popular enough, I guess you could say, right?
Yeah, I mean, the racing genre had its own little niche cult following.
Yeah. I mean, I remember some crazy things because I think one of them, I forget which one it is tied to a server and running on a server is because of how large some of the maps are, or one map is, where there's like even an achievement for crossing one corner to the other corner. And I always wanted to do shit like that because I love games and experiences that let you take little road trips like that. That's part of the reason why I like, if you ever played Outrun, that Sega game.
I know of it. I've never played it.
The whole deal with Outrun, not to go crazy, is basically it's a race against the clock. You basically just need to go. It's essentially almost a straight shot, just with turns and whatnot. But the main gimmick with Outrun is like at the end of each track or segment, you take a left or a right on the highway, and it takes you to a different like level. It's all one consistent thing, but the whole point is, as you drive you go through different areas and whatnot. And there was one called like marathon mode where you do all of them concurrently, and I love game modes and shit like that. So I'm I never had the group to go and play. I remember it was a game I wanted to rent on GameFly back in the day. But I guess this is all to say, I mean, these games deserve to be preserved just like anything else. And I do think, some companies need a little bit of pressure. At the same token, depending on what's available online, it's possible that enthusiasts might go back and save it at a certain point, Like there's a lot of instances of games that are either delisted or not online anymore, and people come along a couple of years after the fact and come up with like a repack or something like that. So we'll see what happens.
I think those games are done personally.
Yeah, it's possible. You never know.
Let's see. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond is coming out very soon.
I think it's coming out soon. I haven't been keeping up with that at all.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not really in my realm. I just saw it. Thought it was worth throwing in here. Knew that today was going to be a big episode.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. You posted something. Take-Two has confirmed that BioShock 4 is still indeed in development amid fears that it has been canceled.
Yeah,
so that's cool,
shocking.
I guess.
Yeah, I'm glad they didn't mention anything about the BioShock 1 remake, because we really don't need a BioShock 1 remake. I don't trust them. You could possibly do that in the future. I just don't trust them.
Is Ken Levine involved at all in BioShock 4?
I don't think he is. He's off doing his own thing called Judas or something like that. Did that ever come out?
No,
Ken Levine's probably not. But I will say that it's not necessarily one man makes the game, because Ken Levine was also part of a lot of the downsides and scope creep and things that changed in Infinite's development that led to it being a very different game than what was announced initially. So, not one man builds a studio. Not always. There are very few of those in the industry, and I'm not sure Ken Levine is one of them for BioShock. But no, I'm pretty sure he's off doing his own thing with Judas still.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
So that is a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's see. The last thing that I think that I have to talk about, I'm sure you might have a couple more things, but Halo Infinite.
Yes.
They recently announced, that Operation Infinite is the last update for Halo Infinite, officially ending support on November 18th. Or it's no longer getting content after November 18th, rather.
Yeah.
It's a very big difference.
Yeah.
I find it ironic that the last content patch is going to be called Operation Infinite. It's just funny to me.
Yeah, just obviously it's tribute to the title itself, but that is rather unfortunate naming,
Yeah. I mean, look, Halo Infinite was kind of doomed from the start, despite it being the best feeling Halo game out of the new trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
The team that was working on it just had no idea what they were doing. And it really showed.
I mean, now that I guess it's coming to an end, I don't want to do a full rundown on it, because that's something that we could do if we ever wanted to sit down and do like a scripted thing to talk about Infinite. But I mean, our complaints were consistent. The content was way too slow. What they offered wasn't enough. Infinite was designed from the get-go with a ton of systems in mind, and a lot of them were cut, save for the ones that nickeled and dimed the players. There's a big whole argument going on right now online with the different Halo games and whatnot, right? Or the Halo gamers and whatnot, where they're basically, somebody pointed out like, wow, near the end of the game's lifespan, we finally get a white palette for colors and whatnot, right? And people are just like, oh, you guys will complain about everything. I'm just like, that seems like a very valid complaint. Like, I remember Halo 3 had, I had my issues with like the Halo 3 and Halo 2 color palettes. They weren't all there. I was a little, miffed about them, right? But like, you had them from the get-go. You didn't have to earn them. One of the things I was the most excited for were the armor customization. they had tons of issues where, like, at a certain point they just threw in the towel and you had to unlock them, and not everything was customizable, and it was just a mess. But it's like you said, like, the game was fun. Like, I remember playing with you and Eric and Josh. There were days where, like, Joe would show up out of the blue and we would grind out whatever the latest operations was in Halo Infinite. Like, there was fun to be had. There were cool things to earn. But you got to remember, this was supposed to be a 10-year live service endeavor, similar to another certain game that, you know, the people, you know, the name Halo might have been involved with at a certain point. But I don't know. I can't. There's only so many ways I can say where is the goddamn content now that the game is ending. I can only say it once again so many ways. Where is the goddamn content? God.
You're getting the last of it in like a week, so be happy. Fuck
apparently,
off.
I argue it still isn't here, and it won't be in a week. You know, I feel like we got like maybe a season's worth of content.
Did they even announce like what Operation Infinite is supposed to be?
I think the battle pass, so to speak, is online defined. So I don't know, man.
There's just so much disgust in that.
Yeah, I mean, I think the one major turnaround that was good for them was Forge. I think they came through with Forge in the end. But like,
yeah, but like it went fucking nowhere. Sorry,
yeah,
I'm getting tilted now.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's just too little, too late is basically what Halo Infinite is, and it is for the
like, for
stupidest fucking reasons.
For what? So you can put out Campaign Evolved? Like,
yeah, it's ridiculous. It's so stupid. And I gotta say, man,
Microsoft
it's
has no idea what to do with Halo. They have no clue.
I mean, again, like, Microsoft is definitely at fault for a lot of the top-down decisions, but at the end of the day, 343 did not have the talent. Like, most of Halo Infinite's shortcomings is because the people they had could not handle working on the engine. Because Microsoft...
Yeah, I should rephrase that.
Go ahead.
Halo Studios has no idea what to do with
whatever.
Halo.
Yeah, because
like I'm sure
endeavors.
Yeah, I'm sure they can cook up some idea, but they would still have to pitch it to Microsoft to get them to greenlight the project. And like, you told Chief and Cortana's story, and then you exhumed it, and then carried on for 3 other games. Like,
I mean,
like there is no Halo without Master Chief. There's just not, and like that story is done for all intents and purposes. I have no idea what they could do.
My whole thing, the reason that you don't know what they can do is because they basically, like, Halo 4 came out, oh shit, nobody likes the story, I guess we'll kind of keep some of it going into Halo 5. Oh shit, nobody likes the story, let's do something completely different with Infinite. It's listless. And instead of trying to, like, potentially fix this going on, the only thing I've heard so far as story implications is that they are adding a couple of new missions to Campaign Evolved, which we talked about, which is supposed to be focusing on Chief and Johnson. And then, like, allegedly they're going back and updating certain books. Like, they're retroactively my understanding is that they're updating some of the early lore books to be more in line with, like, the newer stuff. And I don't know how true that is. I don't know what reach it is, but it's like, that's your story implication. You're confused about where you're going from here, and you're going to meddle with the past a little bit. I'm not sure. Listen, I'm not sure that the missions in Campaign Evolved are going to be egregious or suck. We'll just have to wait and see what they look like. But one of your main things being, hey, let's adjust the books. Not for it.
There's no reason for it.
Yeah.
There's absolutely no reason for it.
Yeah.
And this goes back to me saying, like, this. I brought this up a couple months ago. Every franchise property that I loved growing up, or even love now, is done. Well, not every one of them. Warhammer's still going strong. Destiny's definitely done.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. Like,
I'm having trouble thinking of things that are thriving.
Like, I think of a lot of the things that I enjoy or I like. Last year I had Dead Rising, which, despite having a terrible game in Dead Rising 4, managed to avoid, like, the modern day humiliation ritual shit where things are just made worse for arbitrary reasons, and then you're stuck with a bunch of people who tend to love it. Mass Effect has been on ice for a while, but that's probably a blessing. Final Fantasy has been confused for so fucking long. But what I'm getting at with all this is, like, I'm thinking of a lot of, franchises I like that could potentially make a comeback, right? I don't know what to do with Halo just because of all the starts and stops and the fact that the guys at the top are eventually going to not want to throw money at this anymore, and the guys making the games don't seem to know what the fuck they're doing. So I don't know, man. I don't know where Halo goes.
It's a Master Chief Collection future, in my opinion. Like, just keep the games alive and functioning so that people who still like to play Halo on a regular basis can play it. And I mean, that's really it. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a shitty situation. And I was gonna say something else. Mass Effect. I am so fucking nervous about Mass Effect 4.
Yeah.
I am so nervous.
I mean, I will say, thank God that, thank God.
Oh, happy belated N7 day, buddy.
Yeah, that's right. Happy N7 day.
Shit.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I've been due for a replay of those games, but that's like a commitment, and I just have so much going on right now.
I just replayed all 3.
You did?
Like,
wow.
6 months ago, something
You
like that.
fucking doing your due diligence, huh? God damn, I'm slacking.
Yeah.
I might have to finagle. Yeah, I mean, I might have to finagle the guys and make it like a playthrough for the channel so I can justify it, because otherwise I'm gonna be knee deep in.
We could set up a schedule. I could definitely join you in that.
That would be awesome.
Now, how have we never done that?
Yeah, that's crazy. We got to figure that out. It's definitely a schedule thing. We'll
100%
definitely do that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, happy belated N7 day. But with Mass Effect 4, I gotta say we kind of dodged a bullet in it being in some kind of development hell, because EA is going through all these restructuring things with new owners. Dragon Age, the Veilguard basically took the brunt. Like, all of the bad things, the shitty writing, the awful polish, all that kind of stuff would have hit Mass Effect if it came out first. So there's definitely some changes going on behind the scene that will probably put things not necessarily perfect, like, oh, it's saved because Veilguard died for our sins or whatever. But fucking I do think that Mass Effect 4 as it is right now is in a better spot than it would have been a year ago. If that makes sense.
Yeah, probably. I think that the success of Battlefield 6, of them going back to the roots of what makes Battlefield will have an indirect effect on Mass Effect 4. Because they've been trying to modernize everything and throw ideas that don't work in whatever respective IP into it, and it's just not working. And I have a feeling that they were trying to do something like that to Mass Effect in the same way they kind of destroyed Dragon Age. So maybe this was a hard reset, but just to have them see that the people who are going to buy and play these games, they want what made them great to begin with. So just do more of that. I don't really know how else to say it.
I gotcha. Yeah.
Anywho, do you have anything else? Because that was the last bit of news that I had.
I've got a little bit of an ender, I guess. We could close down on another Anthony rant. Just keep you on your toes, just because I've been thinking about this for a bit. Because about a week or two ago, The Gamer went through some widespread layoffs. Are you familiar with The Gamer?
It's an outlet?
Yes, it's an outlet.
I feel like I've heard of it, but
yeah.
Anyway, continue.
It's not one of the bigger ones. They get by pushing out a lot of stuff in frequency and, just a lot of articles, they kind of scatterblast with it. So the best way I can put it for anyone not familiar is imagine Kotaku, but with less integrity, if that's possible.
I was literally about to say, is that even possible?
Yeah. If that's too abstract to imagine, I'll simply say that they have more disdain for the industry and the medium. They're more upfront about the causes they want to push. There's a little less filler there's less filler in their articles, and there's less of a filter than your average gaming rag has when they're talking about certain things, right? Let me read you some headlines for a bit of context as to what you can expect from the Gamer. Okay, try to keep it together. Some of these things may send you. 10 games that got diversity right and 10 that really didn't. If we want to talk about diversity in gaming, we need to be intersectional. People who identify as gamers more likely to be sexist and racist. Most powerful LGBTQ plus characters in gaming. It's profit-driven game design, not wokeness, that has changed video games. Stop using mods to make female characters prettier. 9 games featuring great trans characters. Queer games are under attack from every angle. Why is everyone getting mad about diversity consultants? And this one's a good one. I'm personally going to force game companies to put in all that stuff you hate. So that should give you a pretty good idea of exactly what they write and all that kind of stuff, right? And
I hate everything.
That's the kind of, you know, they have something to push. They don't really care about the medium. They just want to, you know, talk about cultural stuff, but they're just kind of stuck here. I think one of the guys that wrote one of those articles is like some failed late night writer that just happens to be writing for this rag. But like a lot of these other game websites, you know, news sites, journalists, whatever you want to call them, but they do something else that's a bit more insidious. There's more than a few articles that single out particular games or franchises with a primary focus on legacy series that have been around for a while and new up-and-coming games. You know, they still target the middle sometimes, but those are their main focuses. And they target the former to frame them in a way that either lambasts them for remaining unaffected by modern fads, so they stay traditional, what people know about them, praises them for changing when they do change, or makes the claim that they were always in support of the newer and wayward shit that they want to push, right? And in the latter, they do it to stake a claim or an early claim to have them interpreted in some way. And in both cases, they want to influence developers to change games or make it appear that certain changes have more support than they actually do. And in all of this, they want to have their article on the books so that random people and third-party sources like Wikipedia cite the article as fact. It's like this really insidious Ouroboros kind of thing where, like, they'll write a trash article and then Wikipedia will pick up the article and use it as citation, and then they'll report on the citation, and it's just like this circle of crap that just kind of goes around, right? Here's some headlines about that and what they try to do there. All right, so once again, try and control yourself. I know how this is going to make you feel. It's going to make you laugh, and it's going to make you frustrated.
I'm already tilted as fuck.
Here we go. The Sims, a look back at 2 decades of inclusivity. The Last of Us is both too woke and not woke enough. Dragon Age the Veilguard has progressive queerness, but could do better. Stellar Blade's uncensored release shouldn't have a cause for celebration. Shouldn't be a cause for celebration. Bridget's trans identity in Guilty Gear finally leaves behind the character's harmful origins. Fable's queer representation is a progressive product of its time. Cammy's classic outfit should never have been brought back to Street Fighter. Rivet, from Rift Apart, you played that, is a lesbian, and my psychic gay ass was right all along. The Legend of Zelda has always been queer. Assassin's Creed 3, an indigenous narrative ahead of its time. Resident Evil 5 is too racist for a remake. That
Anthony, I'm shaking with fucking with rage. Oh.
Final Fantasy VII
I'm doing everything I possibly can not to tell you to shut the fuck up.
Listen, you held it very well together when I brought up the Rift Apart thing. Hold on, we're almost done. Final Fantasy VII has always been political, and Remake 2 should lean into it. Queerness in Mass Effect is messy, but still vital. And Resident Evil 4 no longer sexualizing its women is a good thing. And that's just some of them, Dan. They've written entire articles about every minor point of complaint around all the modern day inclusivity stuff, praising censorship, basically every negative position we've talked about in like the last, well, as long as we've known each other really, as this stuff has been up and coming. They've done articles about it. I mean, they're not unique in this, but there's, like I said, there's more of it compared to other places that need to pretend they have some kind of integrity. There's also a lot of articles with, and I'm not even going to humor them with a mention, but if you can think of any hot button topic, buzzword, or other issue of the political variety, they've written about that too. The things not on display here also is stuff you can't really catch from the headlines I read off. there's different trends they lean into. Like when Dragon Age and Assassin's Creed Shadows were in the spotlight for their respective controversies, all the shit going on with them, there were more opinion articles about the importance of what both were offering, but also a ton of articles about the franchises trying to buffer how much they talk about it and in what lens, you know. When Horizon Forbidden West was coming out and people were treating it with a mixture of like disinterest or like confusion about the changes in design, they were there to talk about how, you know, gamers were sexist or never saw a real woman before. When they retconned 2 Guilty Gear characters to be more inclusive, you could see an uptick in articles about Guilty Gear, and you could see orbiting topics that they could include Guilty Gear in. Whenever there's a voice actor that is criticized for their performances, like Lily Gao in the Resident Evil 4 remake, Senya Breyer in Final Fantasy XIV, Erika Ishii in Ghost of Yotei, they are there to play damage control as long as they have some ideological leanings that you would associate with any of the headlines I listed before, and they would completely sidestep the main issue, which is, you know, just quality in their performances or how they act or the questionable hiring practices that put them in those positions in the first place. And then whenever The Sims or EA is in the news, they always seem to have some new article about, you know, just something that they did, because that game constantly gets DLC. You know, they just crank out stuff to fluff the current team up, you know, because they see The Sims 4 some pillar because it's like an old legacy franchise or something, you know, or they frame the old games a certain way. And it is just a nightmare of crap from these people. But they recently, go ahead.
No, I can't even form sentences right now.
Well,
fuck these people, dude.
Yeah, I mean, it's common in the industry as a whole to see this, but the gamer is a special case, because where you could argue that a lot of these other media outlets have some kind of roots in legacy video games journalism, however seriously you take that, the gamer is young. It didn't pop up until like 2017. They aren't drinking the Kool-Aid, so to speak. They were born in it. So things they're interested in, like
yeah, I know this site.
Yeah, there you go. See, you're looking it up right now.
Okay.
It's all the stuff there, like stuff about, you know, latest news on games and stuff like that. It's just there as an obligation so they can write other stuff I mentioned and all the ramblings in between that I didn't. And there's a clear divide of the authors between the ones writing these pieces and the ones who are just, you know, writing about the games. And I think those guys are the ones that are going to get laid off, apparently. But, you know, we'll see what happens. See what happens with them next, because they have a large conglomerate parent company, I found out when I was looking into them. You ever hear of Valnet Inc.?
No.
They have a pretty interesting history. They have a pair of very interesting founders. They're the Yusuf brothers, right? Their previous claim to fame was niche adult content in the early 2000s.
Oh, Jesus.
It peaked when they founded Brazzers, of all companies.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and ended when they
a lot.
Yeah, and then they sold the company after money laundering allegations. That's when their career there ended with the niche content. But
so these guys are fucking ripe in squeaky clean pasts.
Yes,
Jesus.
Exactly. Yeah, and in recent, like for a decade, they've been buying up shit in all different fields. Like they own Screen Rant, Game Rant, Polygon, OpenCritic, Collider, Comic Book Resources, DualShockers, Fextra Life, tons of shit. The interesting thing about the gamer is that it's one they've founded, so it probably has better legs than if it was like an acquisition, given its size or whatever. Going forward, the site is going to hobble on as what they called slimmed down, a slimmed down form. Now, aside from me being happy and cheering on another rag getting a few knocks, when this took place with the gamer, it was noted that games journalism, like the whole workforce, has declined 25% in 2 years.
Yeah.
Like a full quarter of what press trackers are saying, tier 1 professionals, whatever their metrics are, they're gone, and they're seemingly never coming back. And I hope that, you know, the hits just keep on coming, but I just thought I'd give you a little peek, you know, into, you know, you're a man of, you know, you like what you like, you go on, you look at the news, and you check out the industry. It's very rare that you see the muck and the mire in something like one of these websites.
Yeah.
So I thought I'd enlighten you on the you know.
Well, thanks for shining a light on the hive of cockroaches.
Yeah, I should have just said, hey Dan, you want to see something terrible?
I am in a terrible mood now.
I'm sorry, buddy.
Oh Jesus. Well, that was some fucking rant to go out on. Oh God, gamer, fuck that site. Okay, I now know.
There you go, buddy. There you go.
Oh God. All right. Well, it's probably a good place as any to wrap it up.
Yeah.
We talked about everything that we wanted to get to. I'm sure there'll be more shit that goes on in the next week that we're
absolutely.
going to talk about. So
Absolutely.
if you've made it this far, thank you very much for listening. This was episode 79 of the Pregame Network podcast. We'll be back next week, same time, same place, for more shenanigans and more offending people. Can't wait for that part. Fuck the gamer. Bye.
Bye.